So the package is going to have 3 of them, and like I said, they differ from the thickness, right? From thin to slightly bigger to much thinner. So this one is pretty big. You adjust the sizes as you want it. It's a very nice cut, you know, straightforward. I struggled quite a bit, was trying to export it out of the Grab-It application, but I finally hacked it. So I'm very happy with myself. One thing I want to show to you is a couple of tips on how to remove the fringe from the sticky mat. My mats tend to be pretty sticky because I use repositional adhesive. So my blue mat, you know, might up being much stronger than usual blue mat because of how much adhesive I put it on. I can be very generous with my hand. And so one of the ways to safely remove your, like you guys can see it, right? Like it just completely tore it because it's pretty sticky, is you curl your mat under your paper, and then you just gently, very, very gently take it off. It's starting to pull. I'm just gonna have to go very, very slow to remove it out. So I'm just gonna go this direction. You guys can see, right, what I'm doing it is I'm rolling the mat underneath of it. And I do this quite a lot with any project that had very, very tiny things. I mean, it takes a while. So I'm just gonna hold it this way because it's going to be a little bit easier. And you can see that like that this got stuck. So I'm just gonna try to salvage it. So again, I'm just gonna curl it up. I do this quite often, and it does not damage my mat in any way or form. And my mats are actually pretty old. They're close to 3 years old. They actually might be 3 years old. I have to like look on the data when I purchased my 𝐒𝐿. That's how old my mats are. Okay, so I'm almost done. So again, right, I want to try to bring it as closely to the, so at this point I'm just rolling it up this way. And this is a super thin one. You can see just how thin the fringes are. So the fringe center is removed from the mat, and you can see there is a slight damage, but it's not so bad that I won't be able to fix it. And that's the I guess like the downfall with a super thin fringe, right? That makes beautiful center, but it can get very difficult to take it off the mat. And the reason to that is, you know, like if you look at like how thin it is, it's very easy to get stuck on a mat and pull it off. So this one is not as thin, but it's still pretty thin. And then this one is definitely a bit bigger, and you can see it just even by how flat this one is, right? It came off a lot easier. This one is pretty curled up, and this one is, you know, totally curled. So there are several things that you can do with a fringe center, right? The simple one is that you just glue it on from one end to the other. You roll it. I typically use, you know, either tweezers or you know, like a chopstick, and I rolled around it, and there's a center by itself. I like to combine my centers where I do a fringe on the bottom and my layered flower on the top of it, kind of like this, right? Like that's different. That's very cute. So if you're going for this look, then the big thing is that, you know, you need to have a space at the base of your fringe, and for that, you know, you need something thicker to start rolling around it. I mean, you could do it around your finger even, but the truth of the matter is, you know, you're probably gonna get burned. So, you know, some other tools like maybe a thick pen, right, is a good way to start. Like I often will use this one, Or if I'm going for like a really large flower, like for example in the wedding backdrop, one of the flowers that I had was, it ended up being, I think, either 22 or 24 inches, right? It needed to be pretty big. So like just the layered flower on the top of it, I think was 5 inches, right? So I couldn't have had something that small. That wouldn't work. And what I did was I took a styrofoam ball, and I have like a whole bunch of different ones, like you can see it right here, you know, and I started to roll around that, and that gave me that big spread. One thing to remember is that, you know, if you're working with bigger sizes, you might have to have 2 fringe centers going over each other in order to give it more fluffiness. You know, with some of my flowers, I actually only do 1 round, but that's because, you know, I tend to do backdrops, and so the skinniness of it, right, will get absorbed by all of the flowers around it. Like the end result is going to be pretty powerful, so that I can have like 1 or 2, even, you know, like 6 skinny centers. But if you're doing it a set that somebody's going to put up on the wall, and it's going to be like 4 flowers, it's not the time to go skimping on the fringes, because it just won't look as nice or like as elegant and as luxurious. But in any case, like this is one of the favorite things that I like to do for large flowers, where I have my fringe on the bottom, right, and a flower, my layered flower on the top, and then you can actually see that I even have inside my one-piece center. So that's different, you know, unique, and that's the thing. It's pretty saturated business, so you're trying to be as unique as possible. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that I am going to have a second package deal where I will have 5 different types of my layered petals. I am going to have a video on how I make them, but then I will also have like special tips and such that will come as part of the package deal. So this is just like some of them that I'll be offering, and again, it's going to be available through my Etsy shop. So in any case, let's just finish up with the fringes here. I'm going to put this aside for now. Let's finish our thin one. And with the thin one, right, like it'll be pretty just if you glue it on from one side to another. If you wanted to give it like a different look, right, like you could have offset it like by 1 inch here, and if you roll it with either this way, like, you know, side up or side down, it would give it, you know, several different looks. So I think I've said it in my other previous video, right, like I don't have like a specific way of doing centers. I kind of like wing it, because I feel that all of them end up looking quite beautiful. So I'm gonna give a little bit more glue right here since it started to come off, but it's gonna be kept in place once I start rolling my center. Okay, so now that I have it there, I'm just gonna go towards my end. And you don't have to have, you know, you don't need to put like so much glue on the base, because you're going to be giving it quite a generous amount of the glue when you adhere it to the base of your flower, as well as when you roll it. So it's not going to come apart. Where it starts to get tricky is when you start layering it on the way I had it for, you know, like when you have a fringe on the bottom and layered flower on the top. Okay, so that's enough of a glue to keep it in place, and I'm gonna start rolling it. Yeah, I have a little bit of a glue that just got stuck and doesn't want to come out. Okay, so with this one, as you guys can see, right, like I literally grab whatever is available and I just go with it. Okay, so I'm just gonna put one in, a little bit more to secure it, You have to be careful because the fringes are so thin, they start to flop all, you know, whichever way. And you want to try to keep it as tight at a base as you can, and keep your fringes straight so they don't get lost in one another. Just correct it and get it out of the way as you go. There is this product called, I'm gonna at this point to remove it because I have enough where I'll be able to hold it with my hand and I'll have more control over making it tighter. There is this wonderful product called gold foil in 𝐒𝐿 that is just beautiful for the fringes. The problem with it is that it's really, really thin, and unfortunately it's not gold on the top and the bottom. It's just gold on the one side, but it looks absolutely beautiful. And if you have the patience using the thin fringes out of that gold foil paper, it's absolutely stunning. And was my favorite, either pearly champagne pearl or just, you know, like some sort of like a white pearl paper. Doesn't even have to be the Recollections. It looks so beautiful. I have one of the flowers on my wall that has that gold foil. It just looks very festive and very colorful. Okay, so I'm just gonna lift this fringe up. Okay, now I'm just gonna, oh, and when you put, like when you come towards the end, right, you don't need to bring the glue all the way down here, because as you layer it, right, like you can see it, guys, like it's pushing it out. So okay, so one of the things that you could have, you could do, right, is that you could combine a thin fringe with a fat one. So, you know, with this one, it's not going to, you know, look the best. But basically, right, like this one could come over on the bottom a bit. You could also, before you start rolling it, you know, you could, once you have it done in the middle, give it like a straight line by pressing the fringe down so it would be sharp, so it would have this like very nice flat look. I mean, there are so many different ways that you guys can go about it. So with this one, where's my flower? If I could just remember where I put it. Ah, I found it. Let's see. You know, like I'd adhere it, and then I would use my fingers to spread it out a little bit more. This is great for a big flower. I mean, for this one, it's obviously like the wrong size, but that's what it would look like with the extra thin one. Okay, so that's that one. This one is kind of like a medium way, and so let's go ahead and give it the offset it by 1 inch. I am running out of the glue sticks. So just align it, and it's roughly 1 inch, maybe a little bit less. So with this one, because it's out of the alignment, I'm actually going to give it a little bit more glue. So I'm just going to quickly give it a thin line. I'm going to flip it to make sure that I have it straight. It's a little bit off, but that's okay. Okay, and here's my remaining. By the way, this paper is from this, I think it's called, it's like an assorted cardstock pack from 𝐒𝐿, and I love all colors with an exception of one. It's kind of like an orange, and it's kind of like not here, not there, and I get so frustrated with these packs because I only end up using some of them and not like all of them, and I'm like, oh, can't you just sell more of the colors that I like without, you know, forcing me to buy the rest of other colors? Okay, where was I? All right, so I'm gonna start rolling my center in, and you kind of want to, you know, like tuck this one in a little bit. So just make sure that, okay, my tucking is not happening, and I know why, because this edge is not glued. So I'm gonna go back, get my glue, get this in there. Okay, so now it should work. Oops, grabbed the wrong tool. Okay, now it's being tucked in a lot better. Okay, I'm gonna take this out and I'm glue it to keep it in place and just keep on rolling it. And I'm trying to keep this together. And the reason I reposition my hands, guys, is partly, yes, I want you to be able to see it better, but partly is actually this is how I do it. I've seen people, you know, do it completely without removing it from the stick, but I find that works better for me is when I just took it off in my hands and continue that way, which shows to tell you, which goes to show you, is grammatically correct to say that everybody's hands are different, right? And what works for one person may not work for somebody else. So you just want to be careful, guys, so that the fringes stay put, right? So it doesn't run away from you. So just from time to time, you know, without pressing too hard, just make sure that you're keeping them in one place. Okay, I'm gonna flip it now because it'll be a little bit easier for me that way. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna collect it to make sure that it stays in place. Okay, definitely need a little bit more glue. Okay, so now I don't mind that it's starting to open up a little bit more on it, because I don't want it to have like that one tight bow everywhere. Although, right, if that was your intention, you certainly can have it much tighter by having it not as fluffy, right? And the way you control it is that when you roll it, you keep the fringes, you know, tighter in one spot. Okay, so here I have a completely different center, and you know, it's very pretty by itself. Again, if you're working with a very large flower, right, then one of the ways to accommodate, you know, what you're probably going to end up with a lot of space in the middle is that you know, you bring another fringe around it and you stick it in like one into the other one. So what you would do, you would roll this one out, right, and then you would glue it basically around this fringe. Depends on what your flower looks like, you know, if it ended up being like a pretty high flower, like I can tell you, like this would not work very well for, you know, too many of my flowers the way I have it, the small ones, right, because it's pretty high up, and you know, it's fluffy on the top, but like not so much on the base. So I would probably end up like putting another fringe around it to give it that fluffiness. You could take the super thin one and stick it on, you know, like around it. That would look cute. I mean, there are so many different ways, you know, guys, to do it. So I just wanted to give you a couple of ideas of what you can do. So this would be the 3 different sizes of the fringes you get. Like I said, you would get 5 different filler petals right here, and you would also get 5 different centerpieces, and I'm going to bring those up right now. So there they are, and we have a couple more. Any case, thank you so much for watching. I hope it was informative, and you know, if you guys have any questions, by all means reach out. I'm a big believer on sharing as much knowledge as possible. Not everything, but you know, I believe that I share quite a bit. In any case, have a great day, and I am moving on to my next tutorial on how to do my layered petals. All the best.